Welcome to Call Us Mommy Podcast, where we get real about mom life, relationships, and careers. I'm Tiana, a single mom of 3.
And I'm Marielle, a married mom of 4. We're both on a mission to empower you not to settle in any area of life. All right, we're back with Call Us Mommy this week, and it's been a minute.
It's definitely been a minute. Motherhood and things of
life. Yeah,
I've
got a lot of life going on, and we know that you guys do too. I think we all are going to the grocery store and leaving like what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, eggs are like $8 a carton.
Yeah, and I'm not one. I was talking to someone the other day, and we've talked about this before. Like, I'm not one to complain whenever like gas prices go up or even like groceries, because this is how, you know, when you live in a capitalist world, like this is what happens. Like things go up and down. Like whatever, it'll go back down, but it's been consistently going up. And so I'm noticing it and I'm like, okay, well, when is the down part again?
Yeah. And I've also been seeing like lots of women on just like Facebook being like, what are some like ways I can make money from home? And so like, I know that we're both like super passionate about like,
obviously,
women making even $1. Like, let's just make an episode because yes, we talk a lot about of like our career and we love our career and we're super passionate about it, but there's also many other ways that women can make, you know, a few extra dollars.
And I think the reason we feel like we can talk on this, even though we haven't done every single one of those things personally, is that we are in this world. So we've seen so many other ways than like maybe someone who's not in the online business world. Even my husband, like we've been married for 10 years this June, and he's seen me be in this world, but he still doesn't really truly understand it and like all the opportunities that are out there. Like every once in a while he'll make comments, I'm like, do you realize what you're saying, right? Yeah. So we just want to like make sure that we are highlighting all the ways that you can make money. We have other episodes that kind of talk on this, but we just thought like a fresh list would be fun.
We want this to be like an action item. So don't listen to this and be like, oh yeah, those are some good things, or oh, that would be fun, or oh, I love crafting and like I would be really good at this. We want you to actually take it and like whatever that means for you and just like have an action item of like, I'm going to do that. Maybe not today, but like I'm going to come up with a plan to do X, Y, Z.
Okay. So I know you have been like a jack of all trades in making money. So why don't you talk a little bit about some of the things that you've done to do that?
Yeah. So I like to make $1. And even when I wasn't allowed to make a lot of dollars, there were like some things I would just do like to give us some like income to be able to pay a bill or maybe go out to eat or some extra things. And something I started to like do at first, and this was when I had 1 kid, so it was a lot easier, you know, to me to like maybe like, you know, leave my son with like grandparents, and I went to clean a couple houses. And this actually surprisingly makes pretty good money, especially if you like to clean. You go in there, you clean these houses, and you leave, and you've made, you know, anywhere from $200 to $450 depending on how big the house or business is.
Yeah, I have family members too who bring their kids. I mean, I would obviously like know your kids. If they're going to cause more of a mess than what you're cleaning up, don't bring them. But if they can sit there quietly or even help you, then, and obviously like the owner doesn't care.
Yeah, that actually reminds me. I brought Quincy to one of my weekly cleanings. They actually had a little girl the same age. Quincy was he can walk, so probably like, you know, anywhere around like 8 months to a year old. But I'd bring this playpen. He'd set the playpen and play. Sometimes he would play with her because like the mother of that child would also be there. There's so many things in my life that I'm like, wait, I did do that.
Just don't rule yourself out from this list and like not just this number one that we're talking about, but the rest of it because you have kids. It's something that we hear all the time. Oh, I can't do that. I have, you know, like nap times at that time, or I only have time during nap time and that's a different time. And usually we're having that conversation with someone while holding like a baby and making lunch for another one at the same time. Not to say that we're better than other moms or anything like that. We have just defeated this mindset of I can't do something because I'm being a mom right now and that's all I can do. Yeah. If that's what you want, cool, that's totally fine. That's great. That's a privilege, I think. But if you don't have that privilege, don't rule yourself out because you want to be a mom. You can also do the other things at the same time too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think that we've talked about this on a previous episode, but you have to choose your heart. And sometimes, you know, not being able to give your child 100% of your focus when you're with them all day, you're choosing your heart by like, okay, I'm going to have to make some money, but I'm also going to be able to be home with you. Maybe I'm not going to have, you know, we're not going to be playing, you know, all day long.
Yeah.
But if you didn't, you may have to go back to work and then your child's going to be in a childcare or someone's going to be watching them. So you're going to miss more moments. So we always say you have to choose your heart. We don't live in a perfect world. So, you know, we can't have it all.
Yeah.
maybe we
Yeah.
could.
So, I mean, keep in mind, I don't think we've ever really said this, but like, I mean, if I had to choose, if like, you know, the money gods came down and were like, Ariel, like you can have enough money to not have to work ever and just be a mom or just live your life, like that's what I think everyone would choose that. I don't think anyone's like, no, I like to work, you know, for someone else or to work to spend money on things. Like, yes, we need money, but some people don't have to work.
Yeah.
And so that is a privilege. But if you are like us and you're in the situation where like you have to be a part of your household and making money, or you would like to be able to do that, then just don't rule yourself out because you are also a stay-at-home mom.
Yes. Something else I like to do, I wasn't the best at, but like I could do it, was make wreaths like around like Christmas time. So like, I mean, you can make wreaths like all year round. You need them for every season people use them for. But I always did it around like the holiday time for those extra special gifts to give someone. And I made like $20 to $40 a wreath. And I mean, you invest maybe like $5 to $10 depending on how much you're putting into it.
And I think along with that would just be like crafting in general. There's like literally so many things that you can do. And if you're like, well, I really have no idea, like I'm not creative or I don't know what I would like to do. If you like crafting at all, I would just go onto Etsy and like look at what people do. Like just go as far as you can on Etsy. And I would not suggest like selling on Etsy just because they take a lot of your what you actually make. But do what Tiana did and like start posting on Facebook or Instagram like what you sell or what you make. You can also do like local craft shows. We were talking before this and we have friends who we've seen do like calligraphy. So they'll do like signs or notes or cards.
People make t-shirts.
Yeah, I mean t-shirts all the time. Those tumblers are a huge thing. Now, like some of those things, there's like a good amount of like a startup cost. Like I know you have to buy like, you know, obviously materials to buy or to make a t-shirt or do those tumblers and things like that. But like start really small. If you are doing calligraphy, you buy some cards and you have a really nice pen.
Yes, a really nice pen.
One thing that my daughter actually is wanting to do, and I haven't gotten the energy to help her with, but she likes making palms, and they're just like little yarn balls, but they like look like tiny pom-poms. And you can buy the tool, I think it was like $5 at like Joann's or Michael's. And it's just something that like, if you like to crochet or do something like that, it's very similar, you know, like just the same motion over and over again. And you can sell bags of those for like $10 and $20 on Etsy or your own website or craft shows. So you can find literally anything. You don't have to think of like a finished product. It can be like supplies that people would use if they craft.
Yes. My favorite way that I made money, and like if I had the time and like also like the patience for this, is I would flip furniture. And so I actually made a lot of money from this, and I promoted myself on Facebook by just like posting pictures of like the furniture that I did, and like people would be like, oh wait, can you like paint my furniture? So like they would drop their furniture off and I would flip it for them. And so what I would do though, starting out, I would go to like local yard sales, and then I would go to like Goodwills and things like that, find like a nice piece like you want some solid furniture, not the sawdust furniture, because for one, that's really hard to paint and it's not going to stay together very well. And so find something that's like pretty solid and cheap, go home and flip that. And I would buy a piece of furniture for $20, you know, have like $10 of paint in it. I would sell it for $250. That's, yes, a lot of elbow grease, you would say, but like it was quick money. I mean, depending on the size of the furniture, roughly like 2 to 4 hours, depending on all the layers and like sealing and all of those things. Because you want to make sure you do all those steps, because people will bring their furniture back like, hey, this is all came off here. Yeah. So make sure you do it the proper way. But like that is still one of my favorite things to do, even though I haven't done it in like 5 years. Another thing that I end up doing, and this is when I was really exploring like, okay, I want to be a business owner, I want to have some type of business, is I actually called it Tiana & Co. And I would go to people's homes and I would organize like their cabinets, every part of their home, top to bottom. I would go through their things. I would have them there with me, some of them, because like I'm a person, I'll throw everything away. So like I'd be like, did your great grandma give this to you? Like,
and are you sure you want to keep it?
You sure you want to keep it? Like I had steps I would ask people like, okay, like, is this a keep or is this a save? And, you know, I would tell them sometimes if you knew like, okay, like this probably wasn't worth anything. This isn't a special item. Like, do you really need 5 of this, you know? And we would go through those things and we would donate. And then sometimes we would have a whole section to sell. And that's another thing to bring up. Go through your house. Like things that you were not using, like declutter your house and sell those items on Facebook or have a yard sale this summer.
Basically every time you clean, so like I just make it a weekly thing, like as I'm cleaning whatever section of my house, or if you're cleaning your whole house, just as you're cleaning, like think about the blankets you're folding, like do you need all those blankets? As the toys you're putting away, like do they play with all of these toys? Can you start getting rid of some toys? If you're folding laundry, like okay, have they grown out of these clothes, or do I even, like, was this the first time I wore this in like 3 months and am I gonna wear it again, kind of thing? Just, or as you're putting your clothes away, look at the clothes that are in your closet. When was the last time you wore them? And just start having like purge boxes in your laundry room or wherever. And then once they're filled up, then take them somewhere.
Yeah. But you can also, I mean, this is a great way to make a lot of money. You will spend hours of your time. Sometimes I'd be at people's houses like 8 hours a day. So like sometimes it would be a full-time job, but you're not there an entire week. You know, you'd spend like 2 full days there and then you made a decent price because I mean, I would help them go through closets, like cabinets. I mean, think about all the space right now in your home where you're like, I need to go through that, but I'm just too overwhelmed. And it would be so much nicer if I had someone that was here doing it for me and I'm just telling him yes or no.
Yeah.
And so people will pay that.
Think about the people, like I've probably seen the shows on Netflix of the people that do this.
What is her name? Marie
Kondo's one.
Yes.
But she has like a whole like
system.
Yeah.
Versus
and
extreme.
then she had kids and now she's like throwing a little bit of it out the window, but which is funny. But there's also so many things like ways to make money off of like the content you could produce from this. So like once you got really confident or good at, you know, what you're doing and got like a significant amount of clients, you could start setting up a camera and just like videoing some of the things that you do and creating content. People like love to just watch people organize things on,
they do.
You know,
I
TikTok,
love it.
Reels, YouTube. So you put it out there and people will consume it and then you can start making money that way too.
Yeah. I will say I've never used an ad like for any of this. If you're like, well, like I want to do that, but like how do I market myself? Just post on Facebook. Like I started by doing it with my own home where people were like, Tiana, can you post a video of you going through like organizing your pantry? And I was like, well, I guess I can. And that was when I was like very anti-social media. I actually just got back on Facebook. So I was like, I guess I can do that. And it's funny like going back and watching it now because I sound so awkward. But I did it, guys, and I made money from it because people were like, oh, wait, I love that. I need to do that.
Yeah, I'd say if any of this, like, as we're going through the list, if you're like, well, do I have to do this to do that? Or do I have to, you know, put myself on social media or put myself out there? Stop. Just stop asking those questions because, yes, you know the answer to that question. That's why you're asking it. And you're looking for an excuse to not do it because you don't want to put yourself out there. So if that's the thing that's stopping you, then, like, we're here to just, like, keep you accountable and say, like, you're not going to get anywhere by asking yourself those questions. There's not going to be a magical answer that says, like, no, actually, all you have to do is think about wanting to do it, and then it's happened, and then you have money in your bank account. That's just not going to happen.
The next one is, I feel like every mom has like at least did this at least once in their motherhood, and that's like babysit for some like even just like a weekend to make some quick cash. But I babysat a kid for a while and it provided a pretty good weekly income for me to be a stay-at-home mom as well.
And if you like kids, first of all,
love kids.
Make sure you like kids, like, you know, like not just your own kids, but other kids. And if you do have a lot of kids, but specifically if you only have like 1 or 2 and you want them to have playmates, that's like a good way to also just like have them around other kids their age.
Yes. Next one is meal prep. And so I did this for a while for the people in like the gym community, is I would meal prep all of their like their protein, their rice, their eggs, and all of those things. And they would pick them up on Sunday. I didn't make like an extraordinary amount of money, but it was enough where I was already meal prepping weekly.
And I mean, there are people that will pay for that. And we've seen several people locally that have like started doing it just because they were doing it for themselves. So
yeah, and she's a great cook, the one that I'm thinking of right now. I was not.
These are just like a handful of like, you know, things that you can do from your home that are like physical things that you can do. But there are, like we said at the beginning of this episode, so many things that you could do that, you might be physically be putting the work into, but it's not like you are exchanging, you know, a product or something like that from one hand to another. And one thing is digital downloads is really big right now. If you go onto Etsy to look at like different things that you can craft, you might also see a lot of like digital downloads that you can do. And maybe you have also purchased a digital download from Etsy or another site, which would be like even just a printable of a birthday invitation or a wedding invitation or a calendar that you can print. Planners are a huge thing, like digital planners that you can print or then use on your computer. I guess I don't know how you would use a digital planner download, but you might be able to. There are like so many things that you can create, even just like an ebook. Like if you want to create a small book, a children's book, I've seen people create children's books. You can illustrate it. You don't have to. Like just go onto Etsy again and like kind of search. You can literally search digital downloads and you'll see things that are out there. But if you like to be creative with your words or graphics, then that's something that you could do as well. Just keep in mind, like with any of this stuff, if you enjoy creating it, just create it and then put it out there and see what happens. You'll find people if you put yourself out there that will like the same things you like. You'll also find people who will not like the things that you like. So you just have to remember that everything that you do, you're going to have people that are attracted to it and people that are not attracted to it. That doesn't mean that what you're doing is not like worth being paid for or it's not good. It just means that you're going to get rejection, be redirected to the people that actually want what you're putting out there. And then obviously there is the, thing that we do consider ourselves experts at, and that would be freelancing. We are specifically, knowledgeable with VA virtual assistant work. There's also a lot of things that fall under that we have had experience with, like social media management, online business management, project management. We've done a lot of different things that kind of fall under the executive assistant, virtual assistant banner. But there are other things that you can do as a freelancer. You can do event planning, copywriting, and you can do this for people that are local or not local. You can find people locally and pitch your services. It might feel more comfortable at first, but you can also find ways to provide services to people that are not local.
This is obviously our favorite way that I personally have ever made income, and I'm sure it's Ariel's too. Both did this for years, so we get asked all the time, well, like, is it sustainable? Like, is this a career that's going to last? And it definitely is. It's been that for both of us, and we love this because like the virtual world, there's so many. We always say it's like a hallway with a bunch of doors. You pick your door. Like maybe you love writing, so like go to the copywriting space or ghostwriting space. Like maybe you love, like I like being a personal assistant. Like that is probably my favorite thing, next to like being like an online business manager and like helping people like set up things in their business. But it could be as simple or as big as you want this. Like maybe you're like, well, I would love to do that, but I don't have all of these skills. You can be a basic admin, or you can start very low level like I did, and you learn all of these things.
Every single service that you start in, like if you started as a basic admin, it will open doors to something else, because usually the type of people that you're working for, they are so in the like growth mindset that it just kind of rubs off on you. And most of the time they want it to. So they'll ask you questions like, hey, what do you like to do the most of like the tasks that I give you? And if you're like, oh, I really like just like coming up with short social media posts for you, or maybe even it's just like writing emails for you every once in a while, then they'll start giving you more tasks like that, because they want people on their team working for them who really love and are good at what they do. So they're going to give you more of what you like and what you're good at. And this is kind of like with any of these things that we've listed, like it's as simple as if you were creating wreaths to sell. If you just stopped creating wreaths, then you wouldn't be able to sell anything. So obviously that's not a sustainable business model. It's the same thing for the freelance world. It is sustainable, but you have to put the work into it. So if you are providing good work and you are doing the work to find your clients, then yes, it's sustainable. But if you find one client, you maybe provide good work, but that's it, it's not going to be sustainable, because you have to put work in to help your business grow. We actually just launched a brand new course. It is a first steps course. It's literally 10 minutes, the classes, the intro class, and then it introduces you to this $12 course that we have. And it's about an hour long total, but it walks through everything that you need to know, and just kind of gives you a step-by-step guide to, like, if you took the next step and were to like start the journey of becoming a virtual assistant, what you would actually need and what you would need to do.
And this is a great intro if you're like, okay, like I did check out your course. Like that was an investment. I don't really know if this is like the right fit for me. So the intro class is going to go over, like, there's going to be testimonials in there of like women who were just like you, thinking like, I don't have the skills, or I don't know if I have the time, or I can't invest in this. It's going to really cover all of those bases where you can, like, what is that? We always say like, that's like 2 Starbucks coffees. How many of us go to Starbucks?
Both of our order together.
Yeah, exactly.
How many of us? It might actually be less after getting our order yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, probably actually. So think about it that way, because, we, as women especially, we don't want to invest in ourselves. And when you think about it long term, investing in yourself is investing in your family and the long term outcome of like what you're going to teach your kids, like what you're going to be able to provide for your kids, because not everyone can live on a single family income. Where we have a lot of women who've actually recently they're nurses and they're like, okay, like I thought this is what I wanted to do, but I just had my first baby and now I want to have the opportunity to be home. This is a great thing to like check out, see if this is for you.
Yeah, and this isn't like a sales pitch for our $12 course or even our $9.97 course or our $3.97 course. Like, obviously, if you are interested in becoming a virtual assistant, we would love to be able to coach you and for you to go through our program and benefit from the resources that we put together. But we aren't going to be disappointed if you're like, no, like that's not for me.
If you're like, ooh, I'm going to go and make a Reese. Like, we want you to do that.
Our goal is just for you to do something. And so the little spiel that we just gave you isn't to be like, yeah, so spend your money with us. Like, that's not at all what we're saying. We're just saying that sometimes it is going to take you to spend money to do what you want to do and to have the outcome that you want. Even if you're going to make Reese, like there's an investment that you have to put into it. And that's just a mindset that you have to start developing. Even like my son, he really wants to start selling things, but he doesn't understand that you have to, he's starting to understand now, but when he first started talking about it, he didn't understand that you have to put money into like he wanted to make like little pens and things like that. And I was like, you have to buy the products to then create the final product that you sell. And so I was like, I'll front the cost at the beginning, but once you make your first profit, like that's going to go back towards, right. And he was like, oh, well, I don't like that. I'm like, but that could give you $50 that you didn't have before. Even though you might have made $150 and that 100 goes towards product or whatever, you still have $50 you didn't have before. But you have to put the work in between. So there's a start and finish there. But that's kind of why we have this conversation, because we want you to understand that no matter what you do, whether it is with us, whether it's with the VA world somewhere else, or if it is, meal prepping or things like that, like there's an initial cost. Usually it's for some sort of product or just time that you have to invest in something to get an outcome. So it's kind of just what we want your mindset to kind of shift towards to be able to get to that point.
Yeah, and no matter what, if you're going through this list and you're taking things, like put something in your back pocket, because yes, everyone's always like, Tiana, you're just passionate about women leaving abusive relationships. But not only that, but think about life. Like, what if something happens to one of your kids where you're like, I want to stay at home with them, or you went to college for this, but now you're like, I had a baby and I really want to be home with my baby, but I can't, we can't afford to be on a single income. These are things that you could pull out of your back pocket and be like, I could do that. Yeah, I could do this.
Or even if you are in a healthy relationship and you're partners and you go at life together and your husband works, but you work also. We've been in situations where my husband was at a job but got another job offer, and there was a time in between. And if I wasn't working, he wouldn't have been able to take that opportunity to be able to also take off a couple months to wait for that to transition. So it helps whenever you have that, that ability to make your own money. It doesn't mean that you have to always be doing it.
Yeah.
But this is something that you can learn, a skill that you can learn, that you can pick up anytime. It's not something that once you start, you can never stop.
Yeah. I mean, just think about, guys, everything that I've done. Like, some of them I'm like, what? what was I thinking?
Yeah. And even like myself, like I have never had to, try a bunch of different things because I got into the VA world so early. But like our household income has fluctuated based on my husband's job and just, obviously like all the things that happens in the world. So my income has changed in the sense that like I will bring on more clients if I need to. I will let go of clients whenever I don't need them. So you have that ability to be flexible. It's not like you sign up for something and then that's what it is long term.
Thanks for hanging out with us on the Call Us Mommy podcast.
If you want to spend more time with us, make sure to hit follow. And if you liked the episode, share with a friend and leave a review.